From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Happy Monday, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. I hope everyone had an amazing, magnificent Father's Day. If you've had the privilege of being part of bringing life into this world or raising life in this world, then by all means, I hope you were spoiled tremendously this weekend. Thank you all for tuning in this morning. We've got a packed Monday morning show, packed. So we're going to get right into the news, y'all. This is going to be epic. So before we do, please make sure to subscribe to the podcast. Go to jamesazar.substack.com. That's where you can catch all the latest of my writings. I've got a few articles coming up in the next few weeks, so make sure you go register and subscribe there. And you can also find us on your favorite podcast listening platform, and of course YouTube, where we go uncensored live. Now, a coffee cup cheers tradition, my double espresso this morning. It'll power us through 10 minutes of cybersecurity news. Coffee cup cheers, y'all. Brilliant. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Microsoft's president, Brad Smith, was on the Hill on Thursday during the day, and I was going to do an episode on this Friday, but decided that could wait till Monday. Nothing really grand coming out of there except politicians grandstanding against one of the largest employers on the planet. Now, like Microsoft or not, and you know, I've got a history, 7 years of doing this show. I was not a Microsoft believer. Over time, I've learned to understand Microsoft's challenges and respect their successes. So one of the big things that came out of this hearing was, what are you guys doing with China? And why are you working in China when China's the one attacking you and using you as a leveraged platform to attack various American businesses and U.S. government entities? This came from Chairman Mark Green of Tennessee. Now, every time there's anything remotely close to such requests from China, they always ensure to say no. The question is, how legitimate is that? We know that China has a law within its books that says that they've got to be able to get access to any sort of environment within their that's in China. You don't exactly have free business work in China. The Chinese government is your de facto partner if you wish to work in any sort of way in China. So the fact that he says, you know, we say no, do you really say no? And then if you said no, are they going to get it somewhere else through another method? How do you vet this? And in his claim to all of this, by the way, around the China questions there was, well, it's for U.S. businesses so that they can do business in China and still host, you know, stuff in the U.S. Well, that's not true, because China's law says that Chinese data can't leave China. So exactly what do you mean by that? He was really kind of scaffolded over their relationship with China. Again, one thing about these hearings that you have to understand is you've got to take them with a grain of salt. The grain of salt is the following. These politicians are grandstanding 5 months before an election. Okay? They're grandstanding. They want to get their moment on whatever news network that their voters are on. And they want to have something that they can put on social media to say, see, I'm fighting for you. Give me your vote. And quite frankly, with the way Congress has performed in the last 20 or so years, none of the people there today should be there this coming November. They should all be ousted all together. Microsoft, talking about their cybersecurity failures, says that they're working and that security remains to be active. I mean, here's the thing. CEO Satya, when he came on board, he said, we're a security company. We're not a software company anymore. So by all means, you're increasing the target. Microsoft's also announced a whole bunch of changes, stuff that he talked about on there and all of that. All in all, nothing crazy came out of Brad Smith's testimony. And I think that's the key right there. We also figured out that really our congressional people are really inept at bringing up these types of questions effectively. If you have the president of Microsoft sitting in front of you in Congress, the question isn't about your relationship with China. It's you guys are working and you're identifying these threat actors. You yourself are saying these threat actors are coming from Russia and China, and yet you still operate in those territories. What's the business decision behind it? What's the board thinking about those kinds of things? But it's significant, and so there's that as well. Remember that Vermont data privacy bill that passed just a few weeks ago that we talked about on the show? Well, Governor Phil Scott has vetoed the bill on Thursday, calling the legislation hostile than any other state to many businesses and nonprofits. He goes, while the provision is narrow in its impact, it will still negatively impact mid-sized employers and is generating significant fear and concern among many small businesses, meaning the regulation cost is significant. By the way, we saw that with GDPR, right? So with GDPR, they had to set so many different thresholds, and then they've given so many different thresholds to specific businesses around data privacy to make it really affordable for business to be able to comply with it. Otherwise, your local restaurant, mom and pop shop, gift card, kind of like loyalty programs would go out of business, all in all. So they plan to override the veto when it meets for a special session on Monday. The bill passed 139-3 in the House, and a flurry of amendments were made in the final day of the session. We'll see if this bill gets through. Our eyes are all on Vermont. Again, this bill, significant from a privacy bill. And we still have the American Data Privacy Act that's, working its way through the House and Congress as we speak. Now we got to move to some unfortunate news, but ones that nonetheless are important.
There is a security breach.
So we've got a whole bunch of breaches, starting here with Truist Bank, the former SunTrust and BBT that merged in 2019, is now saying that they're confirming that the data on the dark web is something from a data breach that happened back in October of 2023, after a threat actor posted the data for sale. The data is being posted for $1 million on one of the dark web marketplaces. They're saying they have data containing information belonging to 65,000 employees. While Bleeping Computer couldn't verify the claims, the data also allegedly contains bank transactions with name, account numbers, balances, source code for Truist interactive voice response automated system for transferring funds. They've experienced Truist, for their end, said they experienced a cybersecurity incident that was quickly contained. They've given their regular stuff. The same threat actor is also selling stolen data from Cylance, all coming from October of last year. So we're starting to see that data now hit the marketplace. U.S. healthcare organization Ascension revealed that PII and protected health information of unknown number of patients was stolen in the ransomware attack that was disclosed on May 10th. The systems impacted were the electronic health record system, MyChart phone systems, and systems used to order medication, procedures, and tests, and forced the company to divert patients at specific hospitals. All in all, they've restored EHR access in 11 states, aiming to restore its entirety by last week. However, medical records and other information between May 8th and the date of the local restoration may not be accessible as they're uploading information. One of the things about this, by the way, is that, right? What's your time to restore data once you know your backups are viable, right? When you're in an incident, when you're in an event, if you don't have your backups well categorized and organized, and you don't know how long it's going to take you to rebuild your environment, those are all things that should be part of your playbook. How long would it take for us to rebuild the environment and duplicate it 2 or 3 more times? And why would you say that? Because you may want to say, all right, if the attack occurred on the 20th, I'm going to go to my 19th backups. Based on initial forensics, we see weird activity on the 15th, so we're going to go to the 14th backup, and we see something else a little fishy on the 5th, so we're going to go to a 4th backup. And you don't want to wait to do one by one by one. It takes a really, really long time. So you want to mimic your environment. You want to be able to do a mass restore until such a tool exists that can do that for you, to let you know whether or not your backups are viable. PCBA manufacturing giant Keytronics is warning it suffered a data breach after the Black Basta ransomware gang is leaking 530 gigabytes of the company's stolen data from 2 weeks ago. Keytronic, better known as Keytronic, is an American tech company initially started as an original equipment manufacturer of keyboards and mice. It's now one of the largest manufacturer of circuit board assembly. Last month, Keytronic disclosed in an SEC filing that it suffered a cyber attack on May 6th that disrupted its operation, limited access to business applications that supported corporate activities. Late on Friday afternoon, with another filing with the SEC, the company stated that the attack also caused them to shut down domestic and Mexico operations for 2 weeks while they responded to the attack, and now that normal operations have resumed. The filing also states that their investigation confirmed the threat actor stole personal information during the attack. The company is in the process of providing appropriate notification to potentially affected parties and to regulatory agencies as required by applicable law. So, all in all, as their Black Pasta continues to wreak havoc as a ransomware gang, Panera Bread, for their end, are notifying their employees of a security incident that led to the stealing of their personal information. In a letter filed with the Office of California's Attorney General, Panera informs affected individuals that the firm brought in to investigate unauthorized access determined that they contained names, social security numbers, and not only that, but additional information connected to their employment could have also been in those files, like background checks or anything else. Panera said that while there is no indication that information has been accessed and been made publicly available, it's offering a 1-year membership to SciEx Credit Monitoring, Identity Detection, and Resolution of Identity Theft Services. It's saying it's taking additional steps there. Not a very good town hall meeting, I would say, at Panera. And now we move to some significant vulnerabilities or other items there. And by the way, I know there's some people in the comments here, Jason, saying, I'm not sure what vulnerability you're talking about. Would you mind sharing it in the notes, please? And good morning to Style. Good morning to Chris on YouTube and everyone else tuning in. All right. A new Linux malware dubbed Disgojmoji uses the novel approach of utilizing emojis to execute commands on infected devices in attacks on government agencies in India. This was discovered by Velocity, which believes it's linked to a Pakistan threat actor known as UTA0137. They've identified a cyber espionage campaign undertaken by the Pakistan-based threat actor that's being tracked. They assess with high confidence that it has espionage-related objectives and a remit to target government entities in India. The malware is similar to other backdoors or botnets used in different attacks, allowing threat actors to execute commands, take screenshots, steal files, and deploy additional payloads and search on files. However, its use of Discord and emojis as a command and control platform makes the malware stand out from others, as this could allow it to bypass security software that looks for text-based commands. Instead, they're using Discord servers and emojis as a way to distribute the malware. A very interesting way to do this, and something definitely you can see here in the show notes are insane. And by the way, go to our Substack and you can see all of this there as well. These proponents of creating a U.S. cyber force received a boost on Friday as House and Senate lawmakers took action that signify that they want to advance the idea. The House narrowly passed its version of the $895 billion annual defense policy bill, going 217 to 199, with the provision that would mandate the Defense Department to commission an outside study on the viability of creating a uniformed digital service. The House Armed Services Committee overwhelmingly approved the legislation last month, right after members unanimously added an amendment mandating an outside assessment. The proposal was made this week by Senator Kristen Gillibrand during the panel's closed-door markups of the measure and adopted unanimously. So might be one step closer to cyber force, and we'll see how that plays out. And finally, a 22-year-old British man was arrested in Spain over his alleged leadership role in the notorious Scattered Spider cybercrime group. Spanish news media reported that on June 14th, an unnamed British man was arrested in Palma de Mallorca as he was trying to board a flight to Italy. The arrest was a result of collaboration between Spanish police and the FBI. They were looking to charge members of Scattered Spider, including a 19-year-old from Florida who was arrested in January. They've been active since at least 2022, so he now faces extradition to the United States and is sitting in a jail in Spain. That's it for our show today, y'all. We'll be back with a whole lot more, and Jason is saying the link was pulled by YouTube. Hey, Jason, just DM it to me, but DM it to me privately, either as a message here or on LinkedIn or through Substack, and I'll get it out to everyone on the show notes. So thanks so much for bringing that up. I really appreciate it. All right, y'all. That's it for our show. We'll be back with a whole lot more. Till then, have a great rest of your day. Have a great week. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.